Happy Sunday, guys. Happy Sunday. Hello. Happy Sunday, everyone. Happy Sunday. I'm super stoked for my live today. I will be chatting with Simile. Simile is a superstar, but I'm going to wait for her to come so I can embarrass her on camera. She is. Um, Hi, happy Sunday. Happy Democracy Day. Thing
Hi,
to my Niger. Hey, she's here. Hi.
how you doing?
I'm good. How are you?
I'm okay.
So I said I'm going to wait for you to come to embarrass you on camera. So here it goes.
Okay.
Uh, for those who don't know, Simile is a superstar. She is actually a superstar. Like you've probably seen her on Instagram. Like she's actually worked with like actual Instagram. She's fed Jack of Twitter. She is I'm so proud of you. Like you're doing
You.
incredibly well and it makes me so happy.
Thank you.
So that is awesome. So Simone is actually she's a laner and she's been on lane for a while.
Yes.
For like the early days,
Yeah.
right? And I actually after this live, I'm going to post that video and of you where you were trying to do 3 day cleanse.
Uh, Talking with the turmeric milk.
That video lives just it just lives in my head. I love it so much. Um you've done incredibly well. So I wanted to bring you on today to talk about just losing weight and maintaining it when you're constantly around food. A lot of us, like, I mean, most of us don't even run restaurants, right? But we still find it extremely difficult to, okay, I need to cook for my children. They will not eat my food or whatever it is. So I need to cook for this person or that person. And people find it really difficult to lose weight and maintain it while they're constantly around food. So that is what I really wanted us to chat about today. But I have like a list of questions, so I'm just going to go through my questions. So first thing is to introduce yourself to people who do not know who you are.
Okay. Hi everyone. My name is Semile Olua Adebajo. I'm the head chef and owner of Eco Kitchen San Francisco. We're the city's first Nigerian restaurant and catering company. Yeah, and I've been running the restaurant since 2018, so 3 years now.
That is incredible. That is amazing.
Thank
Well
you.
done. Good job. So tell us a little bit about your lean story.
So my Lynn story is very interesting. But I guess it's much like everybody else's story. Something happens that triggers you to realize that you haven't really been maybe eating the best and taking care of your body really well, and leads you to look for a solution. For me, it was, I think I was about 21 going to be 22, and I went for an annual doctor's appointment, and I had discovered that I had a pre-diabetic blood sugar. So, and I felt healthy, felt completely normal. I just noticed that I would have like pain in my fingers and my underneath my feet randomly. So I went to check that out and discovered that was the issue. And my doctor was like, you need to change your diet completely, or else this could literally go from pre-diabetic blood sugar to actual diabetes. So, and I had the Lose It Nigerian guide for probably like 3 or 4 weeks at that point, been just looking at it like, when will I actually start? But literally the day after that appointment, I was like, you know what, I'm starting today. And that was how I really started with lean. I started freestyling initially. Then I did the 3 day cleanse. Then I did there was this lean low carb belly buster, LLCBB. I did that. And then just continued freestyling and found that I really enjoyed the flexibility of the program and being able to eat all these foods I actually enjoyed, not having to eat salad every day. I with yeah.
No, that is like I mean I think I really want to spend some time talking about your diagnosis. Like, you were in your early 20s, because I think a lot of us, especially Nigerians, we think that, oh, diabetes, well, it runs in my family, or somebody in my family has it, but that's a problem that can potentially come on down the line, right? I'll probably be like 50s, 60s for this to be something I need to pay attention to or even think about. So, like, how did you feel being in your early 20s, 21, 22, and being told by a doctor that, hey, you're like,
Yeah.
you've not even started living life yet? How did that feel being like that young and being told that you were pre-diabetic?
Honestly, that was a shock to me. Like I didn't think there was anything unhealthy with or about me at all prior to going to that appointment. I thought I was maybe, a little bit overweight, but I never really suspected like there was any underlying issues as well. I just casually mentioned the whole thing about my fingers and my toes having random tingling and pains to my doctor. I didn't even know that I was going to lead to that and drawing blood and that whole diagnosis. And it really like also made me realize that you can be young and have health issues too. It's not just for old people. So like as a young person, we like to feel invincible, like, oh, I'm young, nothing can really be wrong with me. I mean, I still have so many years to have health issues. You can have them. Especially I was in my generation, there's like a lot more snacks, sugary sweets in the world right now than I think there was 20, 30 years ago. Like, and I was consuming a lot of them at the time. Being a student in school, a lot of times students don't have the time to cook. So you just eat snacks endlessly. And I didn't realize how much my endless snacking habit was taking a toll on my body.
That is extremely interesting. And I think if that's the only thing that people take away from this life today, it's extremely important to understand that, especially when it comes to lifestyle related illnesses, there is no start time. It's not something that only happens when you get old. It's something that can happen at any time, and it's extremely important that we're very conscious of it, especially if this is something that is part of like a family history. And a lot of us Nigerians, we don't talk about our health, right? We like to sweep things under the rug. God forbid, it is not my portion. Unfortunately, these things, it's part of life, right? If there's a family issue of diabetes, or if there's a family issue of high blood pressure, or any of these things, there's a high probability that it's something that can potentially affect you. So it's extremely important that we pay attention, especially if you're not feeling well, or if you know that, okay, I am considered clinically obese and then I'm having all of this weird things. It's extremely important that you have it checked out, because you don't want to get to a point where something that you could have managed with your diet is now something that you're managing with medication, which now has like other side effects, and it just compounds, right? So thank you so much for sharing that. I think it's extremely important for us to understand. So when you started your journey, do you remember how much you weighed?
Yes. So at the point when I started my lean journey, I literally weighed 198 pounds. At that point, that was probably my heaviest weight. Like, yeah, that was my heaviest weight, 198.
Let me convert that to people who think in kg. Let me convert that to people who think in kg, because a lot of people. So that's about 90 kg. For people who think in kg. So she started. Like, I mean, you were just a college. You were like, you were young. And
Yeah.
I think for a lot of people, it's so easy to be like, nah, it's a couple pounds, or it's a couple kg. I will sort it out when I get, to 100 or whatever it is. So I think
Yeah.
it's really admirable that it was something that you took charge of. At that time, you weren't running a restaurant when you started. So tell us a little bit about kind of like your journey, how long it took you to lose the weight, and how you just found the process in general.
So the journey to lose the weight actually was very interesting, because it also revealed a lot of things about myself to me, aside from improving my relationship and my understanding of food. I also learned a lot just about just being consistent and disciplined from following through with the lean journey. because really you can do something for a week, 2 weeks, and 3 weeks, and maybe you see results and you go back to your old lifestyle, and there's not really much that comes out of that. But once you do something for 2 months, 3 months, it becomes a habit and a lifestyle. And for me, I think that was what happened. Was initially I thought I was just going to do it for the 2 or 3 months to maybe lose the weight and then just go back to just doing more chilled food or whatever I was doing before. But once I really got into it and it became habitual, I just wanted to continue doing it because I liked the way I even felt. I felt lighter on my feet, and my skin looked better, my my nails were growing better, and it was just like multifold benefits. It took me 4 months. So I started the weight loss, I would say like December stroke January of 2018. No, 2017. And then by April, May, I would say I had reached my goal weight, and my goal weight was 70 kilograms. So I had reached the 70 kilogram by April, May, and then that was when I now got into the maintenance mode. And the maintenance, honestly, at the beginning was the most challenging part for me.
Mm.
And when I talk to people about weight loss too, I find that that's the part that a lot of people do struggle with too. Is like, okay, now I was able to get off the weight that I wanted, but how do I stay at this particular weight? And because I fell into the maintenance period right at the period when I was starting my restaurant, it was a struggle for me. I very early identified trigger foods that lead to binge eating for me. And fried plantain is one of them. I fried plantain in almost everything in my restaurant. So the first few weeks of opening the restaurant, it was just a constant struggle with me trying not to eat fried plantain every 5 minutes. Me having to remind myself, that the food will be there. I need to eat a meal and not just eat and pick and eat all the time. And it's not easy. It's something that you have to internally just like be very strong-willed and tell yourself, I'm not going to snack all day. I'm going to wait until I can sit down and have a proper meal, because my body will even do better with a proper meal than me just picking at these different things all day. And also just realizing that also that even if you fall like on the journey, one day you end up eating a whole bowl of fried plantain and still like it's not the end of the really. The journey for me was figuring out, understanding for me what worked in keeping it sustainable, and just trying not to, I guess, overthink it too, because we are people, we're human beings, and we all take comfort in different ways. I'm an emotional eater, so that was also something that I struggled with. Was once I started getting stressed too, I wanted to eat, and a lot of people are like that too. I'm finding out as I talk to people more is you just eat to fill some sort of emotional void, and that's also something you have to be conscious of. That eating will make you feel better in the immediate moment, but in the long run, not really.
Yeah. No, I honestly, you unpacked so much there. You unpacked so many incredible things there. Eating for comfort. I tell people all the time when I do personal consultations, and people are just like, food makes me feel good. Like, it is not the food that makes you feel good. Because if the food makes you feel good, like, you would not regret it. You will. It's like when you go for ice cream and then you really enjoy that ice cream. You're like, oh my God, this is really good ice cream. Like, you have no regrets.
Yeah.
When you eat food and you feel good in that moment, like, some of us are even, we don't feel anything, right? We're just eating it because it is there. Like, you're keeping your mouth busy, your mind is off of something else. You're using it to fill a void, and that void will never ever be addressed by food.
Exactly.
It's probably something that you're struggling with emotionally that you need to talk to a therapist about. Like, and a lot of us enjoy the game. You don't want to talk to a therapist because you think, oh, this sappy thing, what's it going to change?
Therapy.
Food is not therapy. Go to a professional and talk to a professional. I am not a professional. I am not a therapist. But we have people who have gone to school, understand these cues, who can identify that, oh, it is this thing that is triggering you, and this is how you deal with it, right? Go talk to a professional. Food is not your professional. Food is not the person that is going to help you resolve childhood traumas. Food is not the person that is going to help you resolve the fact that, when you were in secondary school, there was one mean senior that took your food every day. So now that no, honestly, and it's interesting because a lot of us do not identify the source of these issues, right? Like, so you have kids who went to boarding house in Nigeria, and every day there was a senior who took your protein. Every single meal, there was one mean person that was in SS2 or SS3 that took your protein. So now, every time you see protein, you eat it endlessly because you think that it's going to go away. Like, a lot of us do not identify where these problems come from. And until you resolve that issue, until you actually sit down with somebody that tells you, she's not here anymore. She's not going to come and, collect your protein anymore. This thing is not going to go away. You're financially stable. You can afford this food. If today you want to eat turkey, tomorrow you want to eat fish, you can afford to do it. So there's no reason for you to binge on turkey today, binge on fish. Like, when we spend time to identify why we're behaving in a certain way, it actually helps us long term to resolve those issues, so that we're not going to food, to recognize that food is food and food will always be there. Food is there to provide nutrition. Food is there to provide, our body with energy. It is not there to provide emotional support. So I think that's extremely important. It's extremely important that we recognize and we it is not a problem. Talking to a therapist, talking to a professional, it is not a problem.
And when I say this, a lot of people are shocked, is that emotional eating and binge eating is a trauma response. And people don't like to use that word trauma. They'll say, oh, no, I'm not traumatized. What do you mean? I just like food. I just like eating. But it is a trauma response. It's how you emotionally cope. That's your own way. A lot of people use food, but it is a trauma response.
Yeah. So resolve it. The fact that you're a foodie, in fact, foodies are people that are, they're open to food experiences, but that doesn't mean that they're constantly eating and eating and eating and eating every single thing, right? So don't use the excuse that I'm a foodie, so therefore I no, you like food, you like good food.
Exactly.
You're a foodie, but that doesn't mean that you just eat and eat and eat. That's not what makes you that's not what makes you a foodie. So I guess now we'll talk about the fact that you are a restaurateur, like you cook every day, and you've talked about it, how you recognize that you cannot be snacking all day and not spending time to eat. And I think I've consulted with a lot of people who have restaurants, who run catering businesses in Nigeria, especially, and they're like, well, I have to taste the food. They're cooking, so I have to taste the food. I need to. But what is tasting? What's the difference between tasting and eating, right? So so let's get into that. You are catering for somebody and you have to taste the food. Like, how does that work?
So for me, tasting was actually also a challenge at the beginning. Well, I'll be like, I'm just tasting it, and I've tasted literally up to 1 cup of the jollof rice at this point. It's like, okay, at this point, I just had a meal in the middle of the day, and it's slowing me down. So one thing I ended up doing or learning to do was just have tasting spoons everywhere in the kitchen. Like, literally, if you need to taste something, it's one small plastic spoon. Put it inside the thing you want to taste, eat it, and throw the spoon away. Like, that's the best way to prevent yourself from going back from all the overeating that comes with tasting. That's honestly the solution that I found. And also, it's just like, you don't have to be the person that tastes it every single time, especially if you're not the only one cooking. You have a whole team. Like, ask somebody else on your team to taste it. Having different perspectives, sometimes tasting food is better because you've been cooking it all day. The other people who haven't been cooking it can tell you something about it or taste something about it that you can't taste because you're so into and you've tasted it multiple times. So for me, that really was it. It was just tasting spoons, disposable tasting spoons. Throw it away after you've had your taste. Don't keep on eating.
That's definitely very useful. And I'll also add that eat your actual food. So I think a lot of us, when I cook on Saturdays, mostly I meal prep on the weekend, right? And I start my day with tea. Most of my adult life, I start my day with tea. my husband knows if I have not had my tea, I'm not eating anything. So there are days when I'll actually cook for the house and I've not tasted anything. And then my husband is like, oh, you actually didn't taste the food. I'm like, I didn't because I've not had my tea. But there are days when I'll literally have to taste something. So if I'm cooking something new or something that, I'm not, it's not something that I've tested a few times, I put it in my mouth and I go to the bathroom. I taste it. I know what it tastes like. If I need salt, if I need Maggi, if I need whatever it is. And I go to the bathroom and rinse my mouth off. And, sometimes people come to my house and they're like, that is weird. I'm like, it's not even about like me not wanting to drink. It's about, I've not had my tea. I'm not eating if I've not had my tea. So understanding that you don't have to sit down and eat and eat and eat in the name of tasting. And I think the other thing is eat your actual meal. When your belly is full, there's only so much tasting you can do.
Can do.
So if you know that you have this morning, you're carrying yam and egg, and you're like, okay, what I'm eating this morning is, a smoothie or whatever it is. You have not had your smoothie. Of course, you're going to be hungry and you're going to taste and taste it. Until your belly is full. So eat your actual food. If that jollof that you're catering is the jollof that you want to eat for lunch, portion out your lunch portion.
Exactly.
Down, eat the food.
Making time within the day for full meals as opposed to just allowing yourself to just pick and eat throughout. It's very important,
Yeah. So that is that's extremely useful. So I guess my final question was around maintenance, right? So you've been able to maintain your loss for a long time, for a very, very long time. So if you could share like 3 tips, right? For somebody who is, they've lost the weight and now they're getting to a place where they want to maintain, what would those 3 tips be?
Okay, so the 3 tips would be, one is, funny that you mentioned tea. This is my my massive tea flask here. Restaurant every day. I sip on tea throughout the day as I work because it also stops me from just mindless eating. So I like to practice mindfulness within my eating, drinking, everything. Before I put something in my mouth, I like, do I need this right now? Or am I doing this because I'm bored? I'm trying to stimulate something within myself. So try to practice mindfulness when you eat. That's the number one thing. And start your day with liquids, water, tea, things like that help to reset your body in the morning. The number 2 tip is going to be, you have to be consistent. And that's like with everything when it comes to your weight loss. If you're trying to maintain, you either, and people are different. Some people like to work out, some people don't, and will just like be very disciplined with their food. For me, I found I have periods where I'm very disciplined with the food, and I have periods where the fact that I like to work out helps me balance the fact that I haven't been eating too well this week. So maybe I've gone to the gym 2 times, but on Friday I had a burger and fries, and I'm like, okay, it all balances out because at least I did something to counteract that. It's fine. Allow yourself to enjoy, but just consistently bring in those healthy lifestyle habits of keeping your food right, keeping your wellness right. It doesn't even have to be high intensity exercise. Just always try to take a walk, just simple exercises to keep your body moving. That's the second thing that I would say has been huge help for me. And lastly is also realizing that it's not a sprint and it's not a race, it's a marathon. So like, don't beat yourself up about moments where you can have a 1 week, sometimes 2 or 3 week period where you are just eating badly, you're eating poorly, and you know it, and maybe your fitness too during that period is not great, but like, you can wake up one morning and realize, okay, the past 2 weeks I haven't been doing well with my body. What can I do? What can I change now? It's in the long run, your consistency is going to pay you more than you going ham for a 2 week period and then just forgetting about being healthy. So just think of it as you while there's no time crunch, you have your whole life to build and cultivate these healthy habits and lifestyles. So if you fall off don't think it's the end of the world. Like, just try your best to keep inside that, okay, the day after tomorrow, I can get back to this. Right now, I'm going to do something to serve myself or make myself happy, or, just be calm in my life in this moment. So that's the way I like to think about it.
I excellent. Honestly, I think you said it all. You said it. It is not, a lot of people are always like, how long is it going to take me to lose this weight? How long is it going to take me to do it? How long did it take you to do it? It really doesn't matter, right? Because it's not a destination that you get to and then you're like, oh, okay, we've lost the weight now. It is all done. It is all over. It is.
We're
That is
done.
why I say it all the time. It's not about, people think, oh, I'm just going to control my portion and that's it. Or I'm just going to exercise and that's it. No, there are lifestyle habits that you have to learn and you have to apply. Unfortunately, a lot of us Nigerians don't like to read. So anything that looks like reading, especially, you're like, okay, no, it's not for me. It looks like I have to read. But if you don't read to understand, you're never going to be able to maintain it long
Exactly.
term when you actually lose the weight because you're not learning anything. It's extremely important that you understand what it means to cook healthy, what it means to portion healthy, what it means for you to be able to eat food that actually fills you up, right? Because if all you're doing is, I'm just controlling my portion, you're not going to be full because you haven't cooked the food well. Now you're eating this like high calorie meal in really small portions, and then you're going to come back again in an hour because you're not full. So it's extremely important that you learn as you go and you understand that this is not something that you just get to. You just get to it. You've lost the 30 kg. And now, oh yeah, let's go back to eating like there is no tomorrow. Let's go back to being inconsistent. You have to be consistent because it's truly a lifestyle thing. And the fact that you've had a bad week doesn't mean that the rest of the year is
Next week, I'll be bad.
you don't have to cancel the rest of the year. You don't have to cancel the rest of the month. Life happens. Understand that life happens. There is no journey that is perfect. There's no journey that is without, hiccups. Recognize that, these things will happen and just live with it. No, I promised myself that I was going to try and keep this to 30 minutes. We are 28. We are at minute 28. So honestly, I'm going to do a summary because I think this is so helpful to a lot of people, especially in the food space, in the food industry, just trying to recognize that the fact that you're around food doesn't mean that you cannot, prioritize your health. Does not mean that you cannot lose the weight. It doesn't mean that, you're just doomed to be whatever it is forever. And understand that food would never fill the emotional voice. So I'm going to, does anyone have any question? I think somebody said question here. What is your question so we can address it and then we can let her go in the next minute? Okay, I don't see the question. Let's see. Question here. I don't know if I missed it. I just see this question here.
Yeah, I see.
Oh, do you see the? Okay. I don't see the question. I don't know if there's like a lag or anything, but thank you so much for taking the time
Thank you for
to join me today. All the people in San Francisco, please check out her restaurant. She's linked in this live. Her page is linked, and yeah. Thank you so much for being inspiring. After this, I'm going to go post that video of you. In fact, I think I need a now video to put it side by side.
We do. We
Just so that people can understand how much work you've been able to do and how successful you've been by just paying attention to what you're eating. And I think for me, the biggest takeaway for me is that there is no age. Like, having a lifestyle disease doesn't come because you're old. It can come at any time. Simone was 21, 22 when she realized that she was pre-diabetic. So it's extremely important that we pay attention to what we're doing. And, we recognize when we actually need to make a change. And we're not waiting until it's too late because we're young and we have all the world.
Yes.
Thank you.
This has been great.
Oh, It's been my pleasure. Thank you so much.
All right.
Bye.
Bye.
Bye, guys. Bye, everyone.